There are three conclusively proven benefits from cannabis. Okay, treatment of chronic pain, treatment of chemotherapy-induced nausea. Again, this is something the medical community said this is concretely it works. She called nicotine the most reliable cognitive enhancer that we currently have. Question of the day before we get into this: do you smoke cigars at all? And how many of you out there partake in the wacky tobacco?
There you go.
The marijuana. So this is, I wanted to talk, I want to hear if your opinions have changed on this. I wanted to talk, there isn't really a whole lot of balanced or, I guess to use the word, nuanced discussion of marijuana out there. For that matter, tobacco. You get people who are radical on either side. As a matter of fact, I think the super pro marijuana lobby now, they have a lot of good arguments, but they sort of mirror the anti-tobacco lobby where they've really overshot their target.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is a quick segment to hopefully maybe present a balanced view of the benefits, and they are real for both, and drawbacks of both marijuana and tobacco, and really more so kind of their active chemicals. First thing I want to say is they're very important in a similar, they're very similar, sorry, in an important way rather, in that most of the research related to both marijuana or cannabis. I know people are like, don't say marijuana, that was a DEA term. Cannabis and tobacco. Most of the research is not, it's preclinical at best, and that's because we haven't been able to study either of them very well. So with marijuana, that's because it's a Schedule I drug, which I absolutely am against. I think most people who even think that marijuana is bad for you, of course, we still should be allowed to have some kind of medical research. And then nicotine hasn't been studied a whole lot because it's been the face of one of the greatest public health scourges and subsequent crusades the last century, really. So you don't have a ton of it. So I want to make sure that I'm very clear. The research there is scarce. But let's go to the benefits. A little limited. Let's go to the benefits of marijuana first. There are some scientifically proven uses for marijuana. Okay, I want to be really clear. There was a 2017 meta-analysis of over 10,000 studies, I think. Oh, wow. And they essentially found that there are three conclusively proven benefits from cannabis. Okay, treatment of chronic pain in adults, and I want to be really clear, this is chronic what they call neuropathic pain. So people are like, I had a tooth removed and I decided to smoke a joint instead of take the pain. That doesn't work at all.
No.
Okay?
It's the kind of
You're just going to be in a lot of pain and paranoid about the dentist's tools.
Helps you forget about it.
It's the sciatic nerve pain that will help something like that.
Things like fibromyalgia. Treatment of chemotherapy-induced nausea. Again, this is something the medical community said this is concretely it works. And then treating symptoms of multiple sclerosis. Then there are some maybe other therapeutic effects like improving sleep. You can look up all of these studies on PubMed. I think it's important to be honest about the benefits as well as the drawbacks, because some people tell you that it cures everything. Something else that's really important for people to know, like people say, why are you putting glaucoma on there? Here's the thing. You can have marijuana help with a condition. But it may not be super effective, and it's significantly less effective with more side effects than other drugs available. Sometimes I know that everyone's going to say Big Pharma. No, I don't work for Big Pharma. Okay, this isn't paid for by the Koch brothers or Pfizer.
Yes, you do.
Like glaucoma, they have better drugs that last longer and are more effective. And so at that point, you say, okay, just like anything else, just like other conditions, we have a more effective drug for that.
Exactly, but it doesn't mean marijuana doesn't help.
No, and it may be one of the most effective drugs currently available for chronic neuropathic pain and those conditions that we talked about. So. Something else, a lot of people are going to be surprised when I say benefits of tobacco or its active constituent here, nicotine. Controversial, I know. Nicotine, when separated, by the way, from the dangerous habit of cigarettes, specifically inhaled tobacco, not the boogeyman it's made out to be. And I know you're going to say, well, I'm just trying to justify this habit. All right, in order of safety, it goes cigarettes, and then and then probably chew and snuff. What is it? The Swedes snus in the nose?
Snooze.
I don't know. And then it goes
down. You put that in the nose?
Then it goes probably cigars and pipes because you're not. And then it would go to like vaporized nicotine, pure nicotine or nicotine gum. Nicotine by itself actually eliminated from tobacco. When they did studies on mice, it was almost impossible for them to get the mice addicted to nicotine by itself.
Really?
Without the other active constituents in tobacco smoke. Again, these are mice studies, so I'm getting off on the field mouse weeds.
Field mouse weeds.
Feifel goes to science camp.
It's the field owl weeds.
Feifel gets stoned. So a recent, it'd probably be better than Feifel Goes West. That sequel really sucked.
Anything is.
Wasn't super great. You should go east.
You seem like you've been holding on to that for
any other direction than
Feifel Goes West. All right.
He was pissed off.
By the way, a recent FDA study found that smokers of 1 to 2 cigars per day, the increased risk of cancer is statistically nearly insignificant. And in by the way, also
that's good.
No increased mortality rate. Just want to be clear about that. And there are some studies where pipe smokers lived longer. So, Bill, good on you. You're smaller, Asian, and you smoke a pipe, so you're going to live till 105.
Yeah.
Excellent. By the way, there are a lot of neuroprotective elements to nicotine that have been proven. Studies have shown that it's actually inversely correlated with neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
Okay, they're even studying nicotine right now as an adjunct therapy, and this is pretty controversial. It's not a secret, by the way, to anyone who's used it. Nicotine, of course, helps with visual attention, working memory, even prospective memory, which means prospective memory as opposed to working memory means kind of the ability to sort of make plans, then remember them and follow through.
Pot does not help you with that.
No, pot does not necessarily. Well, some people will be like, man, you just need a good sativa. For what? For what? There was one.
Yeah.
I'm real
Name
hungry,
that movie
bro.
line. There was one. There ain't no draft no more.
But
There
Stephen,
was
what
one.
you're saying here about the nicotine, again, to be clear, you're not saying cigarettes. You're
Correct.
saying
No, of course not
studies
No,
are
cigarettes.
cigarettes suck.
about nicotine.
I'm not even saying
Do people
necessarily
still smoke
cigars.
cigarettes in 2019?
People do.
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll get to that in a
seen
second,
it.
though, because of San Francisco banning all the vapes, and so people now are just going to be smoking cigarettes more. But as a matter of, it is such so well known, noted psychologist who's actually been cited quite a bit. I want to make sure I have her name right here. Jennifer Roosted. I don't know. She's from the University of
Rusted.
Sussex in Britain. She called nicotine the most reliable cognitive enhancer that we currently have.
Oh, wow.
That's a doctor, not myself. There you go. There's an appeal to authority fallacy because I like my cigars. Hit the notification bell. Join Mug Club at loudofcloud.com/Mug Club if you have not already. It's the only way to continue with this show on YouTube.
right.
And, of course, subscribe on iTunes. Leave a rating.
We
So
need
let's get to
cigars.
the drawbacks so that everyone now in the comment section, people are like, oh, I think Steven's being really balanced here. I'm going to say, both of them have drawbacks. Shit! What happened?
Exactly.
And this should be something like you want someone like me on your side. Okay? You want people like the people in this room who aren't
normal
really
person.
pro-potheads, do
Yeah.
not necessarily partake, saying, okay, maybe there's something here. We want to see some more research. I certainly don't
Right.
want people going to jail for non-violent, drug-related crimes. Let's get to some of the drawbacks with cannabis. Some people get mad that I even say marijuana.
Cannabis.
One is pretty undeniable, okay? Marijuana is harmful to the developing brain, meaning it can cause
Yeah.
permanent deficits, people who use it before the age of 25. Same reason you can't rent a car without paying a fee until you're 25.
Right.
The other here is more controversial. These are the two clinically proven drawbacks of cannabis. There seems to be pretty solid consensus among scientists and psychologists that marijuana exacerbates psychiatric conditions, or at the
Yes.
very least can act as a trigger to those who are already predisposed to them.
Yes.
Okay? Want to be clear. Drawbacks, tobacco. Similarly, smoking tobacco products, by the way, can cause cancer, obviously.
Yeah.
Again, this is mainly in relation to cigarettes. Also, when inhaled, cigarettes, clearly extremely addictive.
Yeah.
Again, though, the rats couldn't get addicted to nicotine by itself. And I say this as someone
Yeah.
who partakes, and all of us here either occasionally smoke cigars or pipes.
It's because you forced me
Don't
to.
smoke them every day, and if I don't feel like it, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never once been like, oh, I'm nicking for a cigar.
Well, and everybody just they kind of conflate nicotine with cigarettes. Every time they hear nicotine, they think cigarettes, and they
Right.
think all the additives
Yeah.
and all the bad stuff that is in cigarettes that is
all those
obvious
true
that's been
commercials,
proven.
man.
and that's
right?
why it's hard to study.
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, the other
right.
part of that is I know what people are going to say, because whenever you want to get into the science of this, folks are going to go, but so what you're saying is that cigars are not dangerous. They have no increased risk. Well, there's a difference between a certain small degree of risk, which is
Right.
certainly there is more risk of getting cancer from tobacco products if you're using them than if you're
I mean,
not.
cheeseburgers
But- exactly.
Yeah.
I
can
mean,
kill
all
you.
kinds of things.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference between cigarettes and
Michael
cigars
Moore
and pipes.
films.
Yes,
I
they
mean,
can kill you
oh
too.
God, those
Well, but here's
a whole
the thing
different
too.
category.
Think about this: the positive effects, the relaxing effects, reduced stress that you can have from smoking a cigar, or not a ton of cigars,
Yeah.
but a little bit, right?
That's
That
what I
helps.
suspected with pipe smokers. And that was a meta-analysis, and even then when they isolated it for the cancer, I don't think we have these overlays. I think with the pipe smokers, they said there was like an increase of 2 to 4% chance of like esophageal cancer. Less of an increased chance from non-coffee drinkers to coffee drinkers, and they attribute that to actually drinking hot beverages. This is something a lot of people don't know. Yerba mate is like a popular drink now.
Yeah.
They found very high in antioxidants, but those people would have all kinds of esophageal and mouth cancer. And the
Really?
reason why, though, they drink it boiling hot out of a gourd, often with a metal straw.
Well,
Like, well, yeah, it's like sitting on putting your mouth out on a sundial.
The heat
doesn't
itself
sound
is
good.
what's screwing up all the cells in there. I mean,
Yeah.
not again that there isn't some perhaps increased risk with some certain types of.
We're
things
not
to
saying you
ingest.
can't eat soup.
Yes. Yeah,
Just
but it should be lukewarm.
A little bit.
little warm.
That's all.
Yeah, sweet and sour anytime.
Yeah.
Delicious. Egg drop. Wonderful.
And I want to be clear about the pro-pot
You had to
lobby,
make
the
it Asian,
anti-tobacco,
right?
the anti-tobacco lobby. They've gone way over the line. They're so rapid, just like kind of the pro-popular we were talking about, so far over the line that they now even try to downplay safer alternatives like vaping. They don't have that problem in Europe. They recognize vaping, isolated nicotine, is far safer than smoking cigarettes. But
Right.
in San Francisco, you can't even have e-juices shipped or Juul products shipped to
Right.
your house. else. But from what I understand, they still sell cigarettes in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen? Like, gosh, I can't use what I used to quit cigarettes.
Yeah.
Better go back to cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. With all the problems that San Francisco has, I'm surprised they're focusing on this one. If you could just get people not to defecate in the street and live in tents around every single corner, that would be a good idea.
By the way, that also brings us to some of the big money
resources.
shadow figures. A lot of people don't know this. The pro-marijuana lobby, they have a lot of big billionaire backers too. People say, oh, you're paid by Big Pharma. Well, George Soros has fronted a lot of organizations that push the cannabis. And something else that pushed the cannabis, that sounds like I'm out of touch there. Anyone who pushes something as a panacea
Pushes the old weed.
Yes. This is something crazy too. A lot of people don't understand. Look into the relationships between big marijuana and Canada, because they all have to kind of go through Canada right now since it's gotten the green light from the government there. Big corporations. I don't know if it's InBev or Anheuser-Busch. They're now looking into cannabis drinks. When people say, "Oh, Big Pharma, you're paid by Big Pharma," if you have any opinion other than cannabis works for everything, well, what about the big corporations who are selling you your marijuana now that it's legal? You hate big corporations as a general rule, but all of a sudden they toss a little bit of THC isolate into your soda. They're inherently altruistic.
Exactly.
Those are the cool guys, man.
And there's gigantic corporations betting huge on this right now. So this is not like a small mom and pop field growing pot.
Yes, and that is going to be something very interesting, because just like with alcohol, with marijuana, the bulk of purchases come from people who chronically consume. It doesn't tend to involve people who occasionally consume. So if they're making these marijuana-infused, like beverages, things like that are going to be released in Canada and, of course, states where it's legal, well, do they have to create a drink to sell to the people who already partake in marijuana regularly, in which case it has to be a much higher dose, or do they want to reach new users? Do they want to create a new market share, which, of course, tobacco companies were vilified for doing, in which case so they would have to sell a product that really doesn't cater to their base. So it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out, and I want to know what everyone else out there thinks. Has your mind changed at all on medical marijuana, recreational marijuana? And what's your opinion? Who do you think is more powerful, the tobacco lobby? We've been told they're the boogeyman, or the anti-tobacco lobby. Hey, if you like this video, subscribe or hit the notification bell. I think you see some videos playing in boxes up above, but you may or may not know we've been demonetized on YouTube, so you can actually support this channel by joining Mug Club, loudwithcreditor.com/Mug Club. You get this wonderful hand-etched mug, along with hours of content every week, the full daily show that you don't get here on YouTube. Also, if you want to see this with the hen, if you want to see Nip, that can't be on YouTube. You got to join Mug Club. Nips for Mug Club.